Hello students, let us talk about Lafcadio Hearn's essay on reading in relation to literature. In this essay, Lafcadio Hearn defines the concept of reading with its meaning, process and aim. The author makes a distinction between the motives of a great critic and a common person. He states that a great and scientific book contains universal truth and sublime ideas that are applicable in every age. At every additional times, a great book unfolds to the reader a new meaning and interpretation that leaves a permanent impression on his or her mind. So let us begin on reading in relation to literature by Lafcadio Hearn. Very few persons know how to read. The first comment by the writer says that there are hardly people who know how to read. Considerable experience with literature is needed before taste and discrimination can possibly acquired. A reader requires a good amount of experience of reading literature before knowing what is real reading. It is almost impossible to learn how to read. So without this experience, it is almost impossible to know what is the real meaning of reading or what is real reading. I say almost impossible since there are some rare men who through a natural inborn taste, through a kind of inherited literary instinct, are able to read very well even before reaching the age of 25 years. So, the writer is saying that there are some examples when we know in history there were some great people who knew how to read, but it was inherited literary instinct. There was something in their families and they were brought up in a family where reading was a tradition. For example, we can say Rabindranath Tagore. So he belonged to a family of scholars and he began writing at a very early age. But these are great exceptions and I am speaking of the average. And the writer is saying that these are great exceptions and he is going to talk about common readers. Do they know how to read or not? For to read the character of or the letters of the text does not mean reading in the true sense. Just reading the characters, that what is written there, the writer is saying it is not reading in true sense. You will often find yourselves reading words or characters automatically. And you have noticed when you are driving or you are doing something else and you read something written on hoardings and even you read something on television and on your mobile also, automatically you read, even pronouncing them quite correctly, while your minds are occupied with a totally different subject. This mere mechanism of reading becomes altogether automatic at an early period of life, and the writer is calling it is mechanic reading. And he is saying that it becomes the habit at an early life and it can be performed irrespective of attention. And this reading we can do without paying any attention, and that we do when we are driving. We read so many hoardings and boards without stopping and without paying proper attention. Neither can I call it reading to extract the narrative portion of a text from the rest, simply for one's personal amusement, or in other words, to read a book for story. So the writer is saying that for me it is not at all reading in any sense. But what is the problem? Yet most of the reading that is done in the world is done in exactly this way. What way? Mechanic manner, that we read without paying attention. Thousands and thousands of books are brought every year, every month, and I might even say every day, by people who do not read at all. People buy books, but they don't read it attentively. The only thing that they read, they buy books just to amuse themselves. Amuse means to entertain. That buying the books and just reading the text is entertainment for them, or killing the time for them. Okay? Unfortunately, now this is also not done due to television and mobile, that we spend most of our times on television or on mobile. They buy books just to amuse themselves, to kill time, as they call it. In 1 hour or two, their eyes have passed over all the pages, and there is left in their minds a vague idea or two about what they have been looking at, and this they really believe is reading. They read something and they believe that they know what they have read. But no, there are no clear idea. Nothing is more common than to be asked, have you read such a book? Or to hear somebody say, I have read such and such a book. But these persons do not speak seriously, because they have not read the books attentively. They purchased the book and they read the text without paying attention. Out of 1,000 persons who say, I have read this or I have read that, there is not one perhaps who is able to express any opinion worth hearing about what he has been reading. And if you ask them what they really have been reading, please tell us your opinion. So the writer is saying they will not be able to express their own views. Many and many a time I hear students say that they have read certain books. If I ask them some questions regarding the book, I find that they are not able to make any answers, or at best they will only repeat something that somebody else has said about what they think that they have been reading. So this is a problem. At an early life, in the schools, we learn to read automatically. So when we read something and somebody is asking us to express our own views on that reading, unfortunately we are not able to express our views. And mostly we use guides and references and other material to express our views. But those are not our views, those are borrowed views from the others. But this is not peculiar to students. But this habit is not strange, and this is not only related to students. It is in all countries the way that the great public devour books. This is the way books are read everywhere now. And to conclude this introductory part of the lecture, I would say that the difference between the great critic and the common person is chiefly that the great critic knows how to read and the common person does not. So this is one difference between a great critic and a common reader. The great critic knows how to read, but a common reader doesn't know how to read. And reading means here to read attentively and to express your own views on your reading. No man is really able to read a book who is not able to express an original opinion regarding the contents of a book. So if you are reading a book attentively, you can express your views regarding that reading, and that is true reading according to the writer.